All right, what's going on, everybody? I got another rule of self improvement to give y'all. Rule number two is trial and error. Now, you may say, well, really? It's like that's pretty simple. And it is. A lot of the rules for self improvement are very simple, but you have to know what you're doing or recognize that you're doing it when you are doing it. And there's certain steps along the way in trial and error that you need to be mindful of and make sure you capture. So, trial and error is probably the fastest way to be able to get self improvement when you're doing something small to medium size. If it's something large, then you're going to have to go flat out and just have to go to school, research it, or follow somebody, or flat out just get a mentor for it. But for small to medium things you're trying to get accomplished, trial and error is the best and fastest way in order to get it done. One of the things with trial and error, of course, is it helps you activate some of the things that you have learned in your life and apply it to whatever you're doing. So a lot of times we sit around and we listen or we watch something and we never actually go out there and apply it to help improve ourselves. Like if we sit down, listen to what somebody's saying, like rule number one, listen as if we don't know anything, and we sit there and listen and we take it in, and then we don't do anything, what was the point? So now you got to go take it in and then apply it. And a lot of times when you're getting that information, it's maybe in a classroom setting, it might be in a conference, it may be in a podcast. There's no follow-up questions that you really can answer or ask to get answered, because by the time you follow up to do or apply the knowledge you got, the knowledge that you got, it's a week, 2 weeks, or even a month down the road. Now, so you have a base knowledge of what's going on. So now you're going to go to apply it and activate it and see what happens. Remember back in the day, I'm going way back, okay, when you got a new VCR, right? And you went to go plug it into the wall and turn it on and get everything going. But remember when you called customer service back then, what was the first thing they asked you? They asked you, okay, when you was trying to record your shows and get your VCR set up to record at a certain time and you couldn't get it done and you called that customer service line, the very first thing they asked you was, is it plugged into the wall? Right? The second question they ask is the power on? So now I'm going to ask those two questions to you. Is it plugged into the wall, and is the power on? Did you plug it into the wall where you got juice running through it? So that means, do you have juice running through you? Do you have yourself motivated? And then the next thing is, did you turn on the power? Did you turn on the power within you to be able to activate what you're doing? That is trial and error. That part when you go and you turn yourself on or turn the power switch on, and when you was messing around with that VCR and you kept hitting buttons, you was doing trial and error. Okay. Same goes with your life and the things that you're trying to get accomplished. Sometimes the fastest way is just straight up trial and error. But first things first, are you plugged into a source? Are you motivated? And do you have the power on? Do you have the power switch on to be able to get what you're trying to get accomplished? Because I don't care what you try to get accomplished on self improvement. If you're not motivated and you don't have your power switch on, you're not going to get anywhere. You'll turn completely off. Now, how many people have you run across in your life, on your lifetime, that you could tell that their switch was off? Turned completely off on certain things. It was like off. Okay. So let me mute that real quick. It was like completely off. And you could tell it. Now I want you to take a deep dive within yourself and say, okay, what parts of me have I turned off? I don't have any motivation. I'm not plugged into anything, and I have the power is off. It's one thing to have the power switch off, but it's a whole other thing to have it completely unplugged from the wall. That means you have completely given up on that particular thing. Okay? So, when we're going through trial and error, we got to make sure we're straight mentally and we're mentally there to be able to take the hits. And then when I'm talking about the hits, and I'm talking about the error. So when you're doing trial and error, you have to have tough skin because you're not taking any outside influence or researching anything. You're literally just trying and flying by the seat of your pants, but you're doing something. So if you are able to do that, you're able to take these errors, have thick skin, and write them down. What went wrong, and then why it went wrong. Then you go back and you try something again differently this time. Don't do the same thing over and over again. Like the old saying goes, the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again the same way, expecting a different outcome. That is a definition of insanity. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about you doing something one way, you didn't get the result that you wanted. Okay, let's try something else. But this is the part that people miss, is writing it down. You have to write down what you did and what you did wrong in order to make sure that you're getting the right results and you're moving forward. Pretty soon, a person that's doing trial and error, right? A person that's doing trial and error will end up in the same spot as a person who went to school, paid all that money, got trained and everything. At the end of the day, the person that's paying money for school or get a mentor or training or whatever, or paying for training, is paying for time. They're paying to not go through that trial and error period that you're going through so they can speed the time up. But eventually you're going to get there if you keep doing trial and error and taking notes. Now, this is the part I'm going to say that sometimes trial and error is actually a lot better than going the other route for is getting a course or getting training. It's in the notes that you're taking, because guess what you have when you take the notes? You found out ways that did not work when you was trying to get something accomplished, and then you found that one way. But that knowledge base of things that did not work, that's how people make money, is being able to take that what you went through in errors, and they turn around and they sell it to other people like, this is what you don't do. And then when you get through, the thing that you hear about or what to do is like one thing. You say, okay, I can move on to the next thing because now I know it. But that's what trial and error is. Now, granted, with trial and error, it's going to be very specific to you because it's how you tick and how you think and how you go about life. First, you got to make sure you're plugged into that wall. Second, you got to make sure the power is on. None of this will work if your power switch is not on and you're not plugged into the wall. Thank y'all so much. That's rule number 2. Trial and error is sometimes better than going to learn something and get an education. Thank y'all.